There's a lot of investigation that still needs to be done. And there are critical interviews that we have to do and cooperation we need to get from different people. So it wasn't about, as Pat said, tying this in a bow, waiting until spring, letting things be done that damage the state of Illinois, damage the United States Senate, hurt people. It was about what is good for the investigation, what is good to find out the truth about what is going on, because this goes beyond just the governor, it goes to other people who are involved in these schemes.
Mr. Fitzgerald, would you make clear just something about the timing here? When the Tribune ran its story a few days ago revealing that the governor was being taken, would you explain, and I think some of this is laid out in the complaint, did further taping take place, or did that essentially terminate your ability to listen?
Well, what I would say is to back up, and to the extent that there have been articles, I'm not confirming or denying the accuracy of the articles. You can compare them against what happened. I will say this. As you guys know, you guys are in the information business of getting it and publishing it, and we're in the information business of getting it and using it. About 8 weeks ago, before we had the bug installed and before we had the wiretap up, we were contacted by the Tribune to comment or confirm or deny the story that they were going to run. And they ran that story. We thought we'd never have the opportunity to install the bug or place the telephone tap. And we made an urgent request for the Tribune not to publish that story. That is a very rare thing for us to do. And it's an even rarer thing for a newspaper to grant. We thought that the public interest required that the story not run. It was a very difficult conversation to have because we weren't allowed to describe what we were doing. And I have to take my hat off that the Tribune withheld that story for a substantial period of time, which otherwise might have compromised the investigation from ever happening. And I think that's something that we should take note of. And later, at a later point in time, that story did run. I believe it ran on Friday morning. And we were recording after the story ran that said Feds taped Blavgeioch. And as set forth in the complaint, days before, or even the day before that story ran, Governor Blavgeioch was intercepted telling his fundraiser to have that conversation about wanting to see campaign contributions up front, and telling him to talk as if the whole world is listening, be careful, do it in person, not over the telephone. And then after the story ran, we got a different conversation the next day, which basically says, undo what you just did. It was clear that the reaction to the story was to think that they shouldn't proceed down that road. So to the extent that we had a number of weeks of interception of the bug in the telephone, I do think we ought to credit the Chicago Tribune that they agreed to that request. They didn't agree to all our requests, as you might imagine. They saw it differently than we did, but I appreciate that and respect what they did.
You are always very careful to separate politics from law enforcement, but as you stand here and outline a case that's been described as shocking, disgusting, sickening, appalling, worst ever, and Rob talking about Illinois is not the most corrupt, it's in serious detention. We now have a governor facing these charges and perhaps many, many more. We still